Hello, my name is Craig Fries. I'm going to walk you through my program in R using R Studio of a grade book that will look at the class averages as well as curve tests. And you can plot and show with graphs and displays to the screen of all the different assignments and information of the students. So starting out here, we import our code. It runs line by line, and it outputs here in the console. And so tidyverse helps to use normal language in outputting for data analysis, and Doppler is within the tidyverse of making it so you can mutate and select different functions. And so the first thing here is we're creating a function called curve test. It has a for loop that goes through the for loop and uses two different ways of assigning values to a list. And then it assigns the output there into the score. And so we'll see that be run. This gets column vector. And this makes it so that way it can be variable, able to be changed and accessed for any column at any time, no matter what it may be. That prints out the column into the chat or into the console here. The column there, and then we can make a gradebook from the data type. And so we create different vectors, and then we store that vector into a data frame, and then we return the data frame. And so we'll see that turn in action. So that's where we were declaring our functions. And now we actually we made a data frame and put it into Gradebook, and then we can look at the structure of that. We can see that it's a character and number. And then we can see that this is actually viewed in a table like that. And then we can look that within the Gradebook, we only want to select the name and the student, and then the first assignment, not looking at any other assignments. Then we only want to look at the scores that received 90 points or higher, and then arrange it by assignment. And then here we're going to create a new gradebook that we're going to call Gradebook 1. It's a CSV, and here's the local path to the CSV, and then that creates a CSV here. And just to see, because let's see, well, that's already there. I'm going to delete this grade change because we actually will come and show that here in a second. So we're going to be making that guy. And then we can put the different levels of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and rank that as a factor, which is another data type, as well as looking at an integer, a number, which performs like a float. And then we also have a complex, which creates like an imaginary number situation. And so we can go through and normalize all that data. So that way, it looks like we forgot to create those. So now all these will run. And then we can look at the structure of that gradebook. And so character, factor, logical, integer, character, complex, and number. And you can see all the results there. And then within this, we're going to create a new column and report with the top students. So based off of their test scores, we're going to say using a case when, a case if statement, case statement, when those work, or when these conditions are met, that gives it that following tag. And you can see in the last column, depending on their test one score, they did awful, good, excellent, awful, or unacceptable, depending on what scores they got. And then the display score change function. That what this one does is after you curve a test grade, which we do here, then it outputs to show like this is what the student is, and then also this is what their old score was, and this is what the new one is. So now we're actually curving a test, and we do that here. And so now we can see that test one is 1,000 points, 1,055, unlike the 1,000 that it was previously because we curved it. And then here is showing what it was before, what it is now. And then we create a summary table. After we look at the columns, we see we do a summary table. And that summary table shows like the first quartile, the median, mean, third quartile, and max of the different tests. And then we can see that data represented as a box plot, as well as a bar plot, or a strip chart, a bar plot, and then a bar plot again. And then we can see that we can take the sum of all the total points awarded and then output this. If we look at files as we output this next one, it writes to a CSV and we get this grade change.csv. Thank you for your time. And this is my grade book in R.